Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing another review and demo of the new Bobbi Brown Skin Longwear Weightless Foundation. I've never tried a Bobbi Brown foundation before, but when I seen that this one was supposed to be full coverage, be for oily skin, and have a matte finish, I knew that I wanted to try it. I have been trying this one out for about 3 weeks to probably almost a month. I usually try to get my foundation reviews up within like 2 weeks because I think for me 2 weeks is a good enough time to try out a foundation, but this one I have mixed reviews about. I have a whole list, as I always do, right here, just with like all my pros and cons of this foundation. I also read like if it lives up to the claims and stuff like that, but I do want to go ahead and show you guys the demo. Before we get into it, I'm just going to mention what I applied it with. I use the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush, and I use this because I think it's very easy to kind of tap the foundation in to get a little more coverage and then kind of blending it out, because I feel like the coverage is way too sheer going with the sponge. But as you guys are going to see, I do go in and build it up with the sponge because I do have to build this foundation up. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into the demo. Guys, so I hope you enjoyed that demo. Now on for the review. First off, I do like to talk a little bit about the packaging and price wise. I purchased this on Sephora. This is $46. You get 1 fluid ounce, and this does come in 30 shades. It does also say it is vegan and gluten free. I like the packaging. It's like a frosted glass. You do have a really nice pump with this, which I like, and overall I like the glass packaging. So anytime I can get away from any of my products being in plastic, that makes me happy. So I like the packaging overall. Now, if you're new to my reviews and stuff like that, I like to just read the claims on Sephora so you kind of know what to expect with the foundation. And then I have a full list of notes right here that I always do, that I wrote, you know, about how the foundation has worked for me. So it does say that this is supposed to be full coverage. It's for normal, combination, oily skin types. It has a natural matte finish. It does have SPF 15 in it. It says that it's a 16-hour wear, buildable, medium to full coverage with a natural multi-dimensional matte finish that's comfortable, breathable, and weightless. So it kind of goes to say how it's like created through a high-speed cold fusion process, but it's supposed to be perfectly balanced blend of skin-loving ingredients, oil-controlling actives, and skin-true pigments with a 16-hour wear. Incredibly smooth and blendable, it glides on with a second skin feel. And then it says that this is non-acneogenic formula with marine sugarcane algae extract and natural mineral powders, helps control excess oil and shine. Meanwhile, moisture bind and glycerin delivers refreshing hydration. Skin feels balanced and comfortable and never tight. I'm so sorry, I'm getting like so tongue-tied today. Tried and tested in extreme heat and humidity, this 16-hour formula is waterproof and sweat and humidity resistant. The flexible coverage won't crease or streak and stays color true. Treated skin true pigments suspended in a gel base float on skin, reflecting light to balance skin's natural contours and dimension. So it instantly conceals redness, discoloration, and pores with a full yet natural coverage. So basically, this one, reading this sounded like absolutely everything I was looking for in a foundation. So I'm going to start out though talking about what I feel like you need to use to apply it and like what primers. So I tried this with a lot of primers, but I always kind of went back to my Dr. Braided Pores Nipple More, and usually I like putting this right here in my smile lines with any foundation that I use, because I do have issues with foundations going into the smile lines. However, I feel like I need a pore filling primer with this because that's one claim that I do not agree with. I definitely felt like if I did not fill this area in with some kind of pore filling primer, then it's not necessarily that it accentuated them, but I kind of felt like it sunk in around them and you could definitely see my pores. They were more visible. It didn't look like airbrushed in that area. So for me personally, I did need a pore filling primer, and I don't usually have too many issues with my pores. So that's why, like I said, that was something that was, like I said, a little bit different for me. Is usually most foundations that I hear people say, oh, it kind of sunk into my pores. Again, pores are not a huge issue to me. Mine have never really bothered me, but I definitely feel like this foundation, you might want to grab a pore filling primer. I've tried it with my Stila one. This has just kind of been my go-to when my One Step Correct almost out. I love this. And this creates a really nice flawless base as well, but this does not fill in my pores like my Dr. Brandt one. And I feel like if I don't use that one, again, it just kind of sinks in around my pores. So I definitely feel like for primer wise, I would definitely recommend use a pore filling primer. As far as what I like to apply with, I really like my Real Techniques brush. I tried it with my Sunny Cash brush, my It Cosmetics, and my MAC brush. And I like this one because I feel like you can kind of dab it and get a little more coverage and then kind of go in and blend it. Because when I just used this with a sponge, the coverage was very light and I felt like trying to build it up still just with a sponge. I just couldn't get the desired coverage that I want. Even with a brush, I still feel like I don't get the coverage that I want. So I do build it up with a sponge just to give it like a little bit more of like a natural look. So I do feel like kind of building up a couple layers with a brush can kind of start to look heavy. But I still do, like I said, I do like the brush better, but I do like to, like after I've used a brush, build it up with a sponge. All right, so as far as coverage, that's like the first thing that it does talk about right here on the website, saying that it is full coverage. That's something that I actually disagree with. Again, I think if you don't have acne, you don't have redness and a lot to cover up, then this might be a foundation that I think you're going to consider full coverage. But for someone who has quite a bit of breakouts, like I don't know if you guys can probably see, but I've got like a lot of breakouts going on down like around here. This, I definitely have to build it up. And even, like I said, in my cheek areas, you guys seen in the demo, I still have to build it up. So for me, I would say this is more of a medium coverage foundation in my opinion. I still wouldn't consider this full coverage even with building it up. Now, it does go on to talk about the skin type, saying it's good for normal, combination, and oily. So right now, I don't really have any dryness going on. Sometimes I'll be like treating acne and I'll be drier on that area, but I don't have any issues with dryness right now, so I can't really say how it would work for any like dry areas in your skin. But right now my skin is pretty oily and it has been working very well with this. Like I am highly impressed. Most foundations within about 6 hours of wear I can start seeing a little bit of like dewiness coming through, but I can wear this foundation for like 8 to 10 hours before I even start seeing a little bit of shine coming through. And even when that happens, I don't feel the need to blot. This is like one foundation that like I can wear completely throughout the day, like into the evening, and I don't ever feel it necessary to blot. So for me, I think that it works extremely well with my oily skin. I love how long that it lasts, and it really holds up for me. Now the finish, it does say that it is a matte, like a matte finish. I agree. I think it's like a very natural matte finish. That's pretty much how it describes it. It's not so matte where I feel like your skin looks dead, but then it doesn't have any dewiness or luminosity to it, but it still has like a really, I feel like your skin just doesn't look flat, I guess, which I really like. Because sometimes, like I like matte foundations, but some of them, you know, I find that I'll have to go in with like a little bit more of like a setting spray and stuff like that to make it look a little bit more natural, but I don't find that I have to do that with this. Alright, so it does say it has SPF 15 in it. Now, I did notice when I was taking pictures with the flash, it wasn't bad, but I did feel like my face did look like a little bit lighter than my neck and my chest. And the shade, this shade, I forgot to tell you guys what shade I was in. I'm in the shade Sand 2. This actually matches me like spot on. Might look like a little bit light on camera again because I do have like the ring light and stuff kind of washing me out, but it matches me like perfectly. So I'm not like 100% sure because like I said, I did notice that when I was taking it with flash, there was just I wouldn't say it's like a lot of flash like my face wasn't white, but I did feel like it did look a little bit lighter, so I did want to mention that as well. Alright, so just going through, like I said, the rest of this and going through my notes. So I do feel like it is lightweight, but this foundation is like tacky feeling. Like it's not one of those that I feel like sets on its own. I made the mistake of, like I said, the first time I tried this foundation on, I went straight in with bronzer and I noticed that my bronzer was really patchy. It was even patchy on my forehead, and it's just like when you touch it, it's kind of, you know how your hands will kind of like stick to it, it's just very tacky. So for me, I definitely feel like this is a foundation that you need to set because it doesn't really set on its own. I like using my Laura Geller Bakes Balance and Brighten. This is a powder foundation because it gives me just a little bit more more coverage while setting that down. I do also like setting it down with my Viseart powder. This one's translucent though, and I like going in with the powder that's got a little bit more coverage since this isn't full coverage for me. But this powder is like freaking amazing. I love it. You guys, I'll probably talk about that in my favorites video. But so I definitely feel like you need to set it because it definitely is tacky. So next thing I want to mention is we're talking about staying true to color. I definitely agree. It doesn't dry down darker. It doesn't oxidize, which I really like. It literally stays the exact color that it comes out of in the bottle. Like what it looks like in the bottle is what you're going to get on your skin, which I really like. What I did really like about this though is that it does not sink into my fine lines. You guys know I have so much trouble with foundation sinking right here into my fine lines, and like I was so happy that this one did not sink into my fine lines. So if you're someone who has fine lines like right here or right here on your forehead, I didn't have any issues of it sinking in there, and you guys know that is a real issue for me. Now this does have a fragrance to it, so if you have sensitive skin, that's something that you definitely want to be cautious about. It doesn't really smell like, I don't know, you know how like higher end foundations, I feel like they all have like a strong fragrance. This just smells like, I don't want to say floral, but it does seem to have like a hint of floral in there. So you have sensitive skin and be careful. I do have really sensitive skin. I had a really bad reaction to the YSL foundation, to the Huda Beauty foundation. But this one, so far so good. It hasn't caused me to break out at all. I feel like I said, they're saying it doesn't cause acne. I do agree with that because it hasn't caused me to break out, and I do have pretty sensitive skin. So yeah, that is it guys. I hope I answered everything. Like I said, I just completely went through my list and went through all the claims on here. I really like it for oily skin. It's not my all-time favorite on my skin. Like, I think it looks really pretty. I think it looks pretty on camera here, but I don't know if it's a foundation that I'll constantly reach for. I've been on the fence about taking it back or not, because while I like it, there's just a lot, I feel like, of like a lot other foundations that I do like better. Like, I mean, it's pretty. It really is pretty, but it's not enough coverage for me. I feel like building it up wise, but I think it looks really natural. I do like how it goes over top of my pores, and I love how it doesn't sink into my fine lines, and I love how well it controls my oil. I think if you're someone that you don't have a lot to cover up, you're not really worried too much about pores, or if you are, just use a pore filling primer, and you want something that is very lightweight and natural, like looking with one layer, I think this would be a great foundation for you, especially if you have oily skin. So again, I think that's going to kind of depend on your skin type. I'm not really going to not recommend this one, but I'm not going to recommend it either, because again, I'm on the fence about it because there is some pros and some cons to this. So I think it's just going to come down to your personal preference. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If there's any other foundations you guys would like to see me review, just let me know. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching.